Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ogwadimaka Semobi, and I'm here to present a paper titled Hematinic Potentials of Emilia Soncifolia Leaves on Anemia-Induced Male Wister Rats. Our sub-theme for this is Sustainable Food Systems. Sustainable food systems for improved dietary patterns, implication for health and management, and disease management. All right, next. Background. Okay, so this, I said we worked on Emilia Soncifolia, and this is the picture of what Emilia Soncifolia looks like. It's a weed. Next slide. All right, Emilia Soncifolia, anemia has become the order of the day in many societies, especially in the developing countries. And anemia can be defined as a low blood hemoglobin concentration with reference to the age of the individual. So the age of the individual, they have different hemoglobin concentrations, reference values for their hemoglobin concentrations. Now, it has also been shown that anemia affects both low, middle, and high-income countries, because anemia is not something we can see most of the time physically. It's a hidden hunger. So even if the person is big physically, the person may be suffering from anemia. It has significant adverse health consequences, as well as adverse impacts on social and economic development. Next slide. Emilia Soncifolia, which is the leaf we worked on, is commonly called the red tassel flower. It's a tropical flowering species of the tassel flowers and in the sunflower family. Studies have shown that Emilia Soncifolia has a hepatoprotective, that is, it can protect the liver, has anti-nociceptive, it can relieve pain, has antimicrobial, it can help kill microorganisms, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. However, not much has been done on the effects of Emilia Soncifolia on hematological parameters in animal models. Our objective of this study, our broad objective, was to determine the hematinic potentials of Emilia Soncifolia leaves on anemia-induced male wister rats. Then, to our specific objectives, we are to determine the poisonous composition of Emilia Soncifolia leaves, to determine the micronutrient composition of the leaves. We worked on zinc, iron, vitamins A, C, B12, and folate. Also to determine the anti-nutrients, specifically phytate and tannin in the leaves. To also determine the effect of Emilia Soncifolia leaves on hematological parameters of the anemic rats, which included hemoglobin, red blood cells, Parkinson volumes, and white blood cells. To also determine the effect of Emilia Soncifolia leaves on differentials of white blood cells. That is the neutrophils, the basophils, the lymphocytes, eosinophils, and the monocytes. Next slide. Next. Materials and methods. The study adopted an experimental design. So the elements of solids were pureed and analyzed for nutrient content. Standard methods were used to analyze for iron, for vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin B12, and also for folate. For the animal study, a total of 24 rats were used to carry out the study, and those rats, they were weighing between 100 and 160 grams, and these rats were grouped into 4 groups of 6 animals each. Next slide. We induced anemia by intraperitoneal administration of cyclophosphamide. We used 30 milligrams per kg body weight of the rats. Now the group 1 was a control group, which received just the rat chow, the rat feed, and water, while groups 2, 3, and 4 received 5 grams, 10 grams, and 15 grams of the raw pureed anemia leaves, Emilia Soncifolia leaves, respectively, and These grams are per kg body weight of the animal, and in addition to the rat chow, they were also eating and water. Blood collection was done through the retroorbital plexus of the animal. Next slide. Blood samples are collected before induction of anemia, after induction of anemia to ascertain the presence of the anemia, and then 14 days after the treatment, we also collected blood samples and subjected the blood samples to hematological analysis. And the parameters we looked at were the red blood cell, white blood cell, hemoglobin, packed cell volume, and the differentials of white blood cells. And the results here, we have here the approximate composition of anemia of Emilia Soncifolia leaves. Of course, they were fresh leaves, so they had a lot of moisture, good protein content, good fiber content also, and some level of carbohydrate. Next slide. We also analyzed for the anti-nutrient composition of the leaves. We analyzed for tannin and phytate, and here is the results. They are not problematic, the results. Next slide. We also, the micronutrients we looked at, vitamin A, iron 3.27 milligram per 100 gram, which is a good source of iron, makes a good source of iron. We also looked at vitamin C, 12.45, vitamin A, zinc, vitamin B12, folate also. Next slide. Okay, because of time, we'll just go through the results. So this is the packed cell, the red blood cell packed cell volume. Next slide. The hemoglobin values also. So if you look at the results, we'll see that after induction, the values reduced for the red blood cells, the PCV, and the hemoglobin. But for white blood cells, the results increased, showing that after induction of anemia, the white blood cells increased. And after treatment, the white blood cells reduced, which shows that this leaf can actually help to boost the immune system. Continue. So these are the differentials of white blood cells, the eosinophils, the monocytes. Next slide. And discussion. The iron content of Emilia Soncifolia observed was lower than the reports of Moshe et al., who reported 29 milligram per 100 gram in their study. But it was higher than that of Goplan et al., who reported 0.85 milligram per 100 gram. The results also revealed a significant increase in PCV, H-beta, hemoglobin, and red blood cell values of the group fed 5 grams per kg body weight. And there was no significant decrease or increase in the groups fed 10 grams and 15 grams per body weight. There was significant decrease in the white blood cell of the groups after treatment, which means that it can actually help to boost the immune system, like I said earlier. And this is also similar to the findings of Edet et al., who treated rats with Grongonema latifolium, and they had significant decrease in white blood cell count. Another study by Yahaya 2011 shows that an increase in hematological parameters of men given zinc supplements. So I related it to these leaves, which means that the zinc components can actually help with the immune system. Then in conclusion, the leaves of Emilia Soncifolia had positive effects on hematological parameters of the adult male rats, and these included the white blood cells, total white blood cells, PCV, and hemoglobin. And we deduced that the leaves of Emilia Soncifolia has promising hematinic effects. Recommendations. We recommend that human studies should be carried out using Emilia Soncifolia leaves to investigate its effects on hematological parameters of humans. More research should also be done on this leaf to find out other potentials it has, and toxicity studies also should be done. contribution to knowledge. We've provided information on the nutrient components of these leaves as regards its proximate composition, minerals, vitamins, and all that. These are the references. Thank you for listening.
I'm Dr. Gundeli. I want to find out what's the local name of this plant. I think it should be included so that it can, yes, in the various languages should be included, and we should know if it's actually edible for us to use it for the human study that she recommended.
Thank you, ma, for the question. I actually searched for the local name of this leaf, but I didn't see, like, yeah, they said it's red tassel flower. Yes, from where I come from, yes, they eat it. That was even how I got to know about the leaf. So, but I didn't see a local name for it. And the English name is red tassel flower.
What do they call it? For skin issues with newborn baby. I don't know whether it's still the same. So I would like us to bracket it, maybe in the appendix. Maybe in Yoruba is this, in Igbo is this, in Hausa is this. It will help you a long way, and people might even go into more research on the leaves, and it will help us. It's highly medicinal. That's just my thought.
I really appreciate you for the presentation. And I would just like to chip in a little advice as we are upcoming researchers. When you are dealing with such leaves, we can put the English name in front, then you bracket the botanical name. And we can make use of different libraries to get the local names. For example, we can start from Google image search. With Google image search, you get the English name. Then previous work would have been done on this kind of leaf. Then we can now trace it back to the location, maybe southwest or the eastern part, then we can easily get the local name. Having said that, I need a little clarification in your conclusion. You made mention of a statement that there is a significant decrease in the white blood cell of the rat, right? But later on in your discussion or recommendation, you said this same leaf is as well help in boosting immunity. So I don't get that. If you can please explain a little bit in that area. Thank you.
Please, I want to ask, the leaf you administer to the rats, did you administer it as a powder or you dissolved in water? Then if in water, I want to find out how you were able to determine the dose you administer to the rats. Thank you very much.
I have a question for you. Thank you. I have a question for you, just to take all the questions. No, my own though is not a question. One is this figure one. When you are labeling your figure, figures will be below. Two, you determine, you work on anti-nutrient. You work on taline and what? And phytate. Why not? Why taline and phytate? Why not oxalate? Why not trypsin inhibitor? All other ones, or phenols. That is my. Why do you choose oxalate? And why do you choose taline? And yes, thank you. Those are. You can respond to the question.
All right, thank you very much. For the question about white blood cell and immunity, you're trying to ask the relationship between white blood cell. Increased white blood cell in the body means that there's a presence of infection that they are fighting. So when the white blood cells decrease, that means that that infection has been dealt with to an extent. So that's what the study was trying to say about the white blood cell. There was a significant decrease in the total white blood cells of the groups after treatment. That means that the leaves helped the rats to fight the infection or the anemia that was induced. That reduced the quantity of the white blood cell in the rats. Then the forms of administration, she was asking if I gave the rats powdered. No, I gave them the fresh leaves, pureed. Okay, so I got it passed it through a sieve, like a what do I call it? It's a sieve actually, the kind of thing we used to sieve flour. So after grinding it to a very, very tiny, the fresh leaves without drying or anything. Okay, that was how I was able. Then I used a syringe to measure the 5 gram, the 10 gram, and the 15 gram that we are giving to the rats.